Good morning, all. In the first part of spinal cord lecture, we have seen the external features in detail. Then we have seen the classification of various nuclei in the grey matter. Then the division of the white matter. So today we are going to see what is there in the white matter, which are the different tracks present in the white matter. So the specific learning objectives of today's lecture is to describe the various tracks in the white matter of spinal cord and to know the blood supply and applied anatomy of spinal cord. The white matter of spinal cord is divided into three parts: anterior funiculus, lateral funiculus and posterior funiculus. So this is the anterior funiculus, which lies between the anterior median fissure and anterolateral sulcus. This is the anterolateral sulcus from where the motor root emerges. So the anterior funiculus lies between the anterior median fissure and anterolateral sulcus. Then the lateral funiculus lies between the anterolateral sulcus and posterolateral sulcus. Posterolateral sulcus is the site from where the dorsal root is attached. So the lateral funiculus lies between the anterolateral sulcus and posterolateral sulcus, and there is posterior funiculus. This is the posterior funiculus which lies between the posterior median sulcus and posterolateral sulcus. So there are three funiculi: the anterior funiculus, the posterior lateral funiculus and the posterior funiculus. And these funiculi consist of nerve fibers. Now, in the white matter, there are 5 groups of nerve fibers, and these are the sensory fibers, ascending fibers, descending fibers, intersegmental fibers and motor fibers. Now the sensory fibers which enter through the dorsal nerve root. So these are the sensory fibers which enter through the dorsal nerve root. Then the ascending fibers extend from the spinal cord to the cerebral cortex. Then descending fibers extend from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord level. Intersegmental fibers consist of both ascending and descending fibers, and the motor fibers. Motor fibers emerge from the spinal cord at the anterolateral sulcus. Now what is tract or fasciculus? Now tract is a collection of nerve fibers within the central nervous system that connects two masses of grey matter. So I repeat, a tract or fasciculus is a collection of nerve fibers within the central nervous system that connects the two masses of grey matter. And there are three types of tracts present in the spinal cord: the ascending tracts, descending tracts and intersegmental tracts. Now what is the arrangement of these fibers in the white funiculi? Now in this picture you can see there are the white funiculi consist of ascending and the descending tracts. The colored tracts are the ascending tracts. This red, yellow, blue colored tracts are the ascending tracts, and this grayish grayish colored tracts are the descending tracts. Now these fibers are arranged in anterior, lateral as well as posterior funiculi. And if you see the anterior funiculus, this is the anterior funiculus. Now peripherally there are descending tracts. Now if you see the anterior funiculus, peripherally there are descending tracts. Now deep to the descending tracts, there are ascending tracts, and on the deeper aspect, there are both ascending as well as descending tracts. So in the anterior funiculars, peripherally there are descending tracts, in the middle ascending tracts, and on the deeper aspect there are both ascending and descending tracts. Now if you see the lateral funiculars, peripherally there are ascending tracts, in the middle there are descending tracts, and on the deeper aspect there are both ascending and descending tracts. While in the posterior funiculars there are ascending tracts. Mainly these are the ascending tracts. So this is how the fibers are arranged in the white funicula. Now all of you know that the general sensations are carried via dorsal nerve root. This is the dorsal nerve root. So general sensations are carried via the dorsal nerve root, and there are three types of general sensations, that is the exteroceptive, proprioceptive and interoceptive. Now exteroceptive sensations means pain, temperature, touch, pressure and vibration. The proprioceptive sensations means sense of posture, joint position and movement. The proprioceptive sensation also consists of muscle contraction and muscle stretch. And interoceptive sensations means these are the sensations which are carried from the viscera. These are the visceral sensations. Now ascending tracts which convey general sensations from periphery to cerebral cortex consist of three types of neurons. So ascending tracts which convey the general sensations, they consist of three types of neurons: first order sensory neuron, second order sensory neuron and third order sensory neuron. Now first order sensory neurons lie in the dorsoroot ganglia. This is the dorsoroot ganglia. So the cell bodies of first order sensory neurons lie in the dorsoroot ganglia, and the axons of these neurons, they reach the grey matter of the spinal cord. They synapse with the tract cells of the spinal cord, and then the second order sensory neuron starts. So tract cells represent the neurons of second order sensory. The tract cells represent the cell bodies of second order sensory neurons. Now from the tract cells, the fibers, the axons of the second order sensory neurons, they go to the thalamus, and in the thalamus these fibers, they synapse with the thalamic nuclei. So these nuclei represent the third order sensory neurons. So third order sensory neurons lie in the thalamus, and from thalamus the fibers go to the sensory cortex of the cerebrum. So the fibers which carry the general sensations from periphery to the cerebral cortex consist of three types of neurons, that is the first order, second order and third order sensory neurons. But the fibers which convey unconscious proprioception and some exteroceptive sensations going to cerebellum and brainstem, these fibers, they consist of only two neurons. Remember, the fibers which convey the sensation, unconscious proprioception and few exteroceptive sensations to the cerebellum or brainstem, they contain two neurons. Now, the ascending, let us see which are the tracts present in the white funiculum. Now in the anterolateral funiculus, there are many tracts, ascending tracts, and these are the anterior spinothalamic. This is anterior spinothalamic, then the lateral spinothalamic, then anterior spinocerebellar, then the posterior spinocerebellar, then the spinotectal, this is spinotectal, spinoolivary, and spinoreticular, which is situated on the deeper aspect. So these are the ascending tracts in the anterolateral funiculus. Now let us see one by one. Now anterior spinothalamic tract. Now anterior spinothalamic tract conveys that crude touch and pressure sensation. So the peripheral process, they receive the sensations from the skin, and these fibers, they enter into the dorsoroot ganglia where the cell bodies are located, and from the dorsoroot ganglia the axons of the neurons, they enter into the grey matter of the spinal cord. And in the grey matter of the spinal cord, these axons synapse with the tract cells of the spinal cord. In the nucleus proprius, in the last lecture we have seen the grey matter consists of various nuclei. So these fibers carrying sensation, crude touch and pressure, they synapse with the nucleus proprius, tract cells of nucleus proprius. Then here the second order sensory neuron arises, and these second order sensory neurons, these are fibers, they cross to the opposite side in the anterior white commissure, and they enter into the anterior funiculus on the opposite side. So the fibers of the second order sensory neurons, they cross to the opposite side and enter into the anterior funiculus on the opposite side, and then these fibers ascend and joins with the medial lemniscus in the medulla oblongata. Then these fibers ascend up to the thalamus, and in the thalamus these fibers, they synapse with the thalamic nuclei. Now which thalamic nuclei? The ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus. So these fibers which ascend, they represent the anterior spinothalamic tract, and these fibers synapse with the ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus, and here the third order sensory neurons arises, and then the axons of these neurons, they go to the sensory cortex. So anterior spinothalamic tract convey crude touch and pressure sensation. So there are 3 neurons, and these tracts from the thalamus, they go to the cerebral cortex. Then the next tract is the lateral spinothalamic tract. The lateral spinothalamic tract conveys pain and temperature sensation. This red line indicates the lateral spinothalamic tract. Now this tract, the peripheral processes, receive the sensation from the skin. They enter into the dorsoroot ganglia, And the axons of these neurons, they enter into the gray matter, the nucleus proprius and posteromarginal nucleus. Nucleus proprius and posteromarginal nucleus. Posteromarginal nucleus situated on the top of the posterior horn of the gray matter. So these fibers enter into the gray matter. They synapse with the tract cells, and then the second order sensory neuron cross crosses the opposite side. So these fibers, they cross the opposite side and enter into the lateral funiculars on the opposite side, and then these fibers ascend as lateral spinothalamic tract. Now these fibers, they continues as the spinal lemniscus in the brainstem, and then they enter into the thalamus and synapse with the ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus. Here the third order sensory neurons arises and which enter into the cerebral cortex, the sensory cortex of the cerebrum. So the lateral spinothalamic tract conveys pain and temperature sensation. Then next tract is the anterior spinocerebellar tract. Now anterior spinocerebellar, so as the name suggests, it extends from the spinal cord to the cerebellum. So it conveys the unconscious proprioception and exteroception from lower limb and lower trunk. Now here this blue line indicates the anterior spinocerebellar tract. Now the peripheral processes of first order sensory neuron arises from the muscles and joints of lower limb. Then they enter into the dorsal root ganglia, and the axons of these dorsal root ganglia, they enter into the gray matter of the spinal cord. They synapse with the tract cells in the gray matter, and from the tract cells the second order sensory neuron arises which crosses to the opposite side and enter into the lateral funiculars on the opposite side, and then these fibers, they ascend as anterior spinocerebellar tract. Then they pass through the medulla, they ascend through the pons, then in the midbrain, and from the midbrain these fibers enter into the cerebellum via superior cerebellar peduncle. This is superior cerebellar peduncle. The cerebellum is connected to the brainstem by three peduncles: the superior cerebellar peduncle, middle cerebellar peduncle, and inferior cerebellar peduncle. So the fibers of the anterior spinocerebellar tract go to the cerebellum, the anterior lobe of the cerebellum, via superior cerebellar peduncle. So this tract, anterior spinocerebellar tract, conveys unconscious proprioception and exteroception from lower limb and lower trunk. Then posterior spinocerebellar tract. It also conveys the same sensations, the unconscious proprioception and exteroception from lower limb and lower trunk. But this tract, the posterior spinocerebellar tract, is concerned with the general status of the it is concerned with the fine coordination of the individual lower limb muscle. The posterior spinocerebellar tract is concerned with the fine coordination of the individual lower limb muscle, while anterior spinocerebellar tract is concerned with the general status of the posture and movement of the lower limb. So the posterior spinocerebellar tract, now in this picture, this green line indicates the posterior spinocerebellar tract. Now the peripheral processes of first order sensory neuron arises from muscles and joints of the lower limb. They enter in the dorsoroot ganglia. From the dorsoroot ganglia, they enter into the gray matter where they synapse with the tract cells of the gray matter. Here they synapse with the tract cells of Clark's column. This is another nucleus, Clark's column, or you can say nucleus dorsalis. So they synapse with the tract cells of nucleus dorsalis or Clark's column. Then the second order sensory neuron enters into the lateral funiculus on the same side. The second order sensory neuron enters into the lateral funiculus on the same side, and then these fibers ascend as posterior spinocerebellar tract, and then they pass through the medulla, and from the medulla these fibers enter into the cerebellum via inferior cerebellar peduncle. So posterior spinocerebellar tract, they enter into the medulla, and from the medulla they enter into the cerebellum via inferior cerebellar peduncle. So posterior spinocerebellar tract conveys unconscious proprioception and exteroception from lower limb and lower trunk, and it is concerned with the fine coordination of the individual lower limb muscle. The next tract is the spinotectal tract. It conveys the dull aching pain sensation concerned with reflex movement of head and eyes. Now in this, the peripheral organ is the skin, joint and muscles, and the fibers conveying these sensations enter into the dorsoroot ganglia. From there they enter into the gray matter of the spinal cord in the lamina 5, and from the lamina 5 the second order sensory neuron arises. They cross to the opposite side in the anterior white commissure, and then these fibers enter into the anterior funiculus between the anterior spinothalamic tract and lateral spinothalamic tract. So this is the spinotectal tract, and from here the spinotectal tract, the fibers of spinotectal tract enters into the superior colliculus of midrib. Then the next tract is the spino-olivary tract. Spino-olivary tract provides feedback about the performance, and the peripheral processes arise from muscles and joints. Then from the dorsoroot ganglia they enter into the lamina 5 of the gray matter of the spinal cord. From the lamina 5 the second order neuron arises. Then they cross to the opposite side in the anterior white commissure and enter into the anterior funiculus of opposite side. So this is the spino-olivary tract, and then from here the fibers ascend to the inferior olivary nucleus of medulla oblongata. So this is spino-olivary tract conveying feedback about performance sensation. Then the next tract is the spino-reticular tract. It conveys deep pain integrated with emotional behavior. And the peripheral organ is a deeper tissue. The peripheral processes arise from deep tissue. Then the fibers enter into the gray matter via dorsoroot ganglia. Then the fibers synapse with the tract cells of lamina 5. And from here the second order neuron arises, which crosses to the opposite side in the anterior white commissure, and then from here the fibers go to the reticular formation of the brainstem. So spino-reticular tract conveys deep pain integrated with emotional behavior. Then the ascending tracts, which are the ascending tracts present in the posterior funiculus. We have seen the ascending tracts present in the anterolateral funiculus. Now the ascending tracts in the posterior funiculus are 2 in number, and these are the fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Medially fasciculus gracilis. So this is fasciculus gracilis, laterally fasciculus cuneatus. Now fasciculus gracilis, it conveys conscious proprioception, that is the joint position and movement, then fine touch, 2-point tactile discrimination, pressure, vibration, and stereognosis below T6 level of spinal cord. So the fasciculus gracilis conveys conscious proprioception, that is the joint position and movement, then fine touch, 2-point tactile discrimination, pressure, vibration, stereognosis below T6 level. The peripheral processes arise from skin, joint and tendon. Then the fibers enter into the dorsoroot ganglia. From dorsoroot ganglia, the axons of these neurons enter into the fasciculus gracilis, which is situated on the posterior funiculus. From here, the fibers ascend up to the lower part of the medulla oblongata. This is the medulla oblongata. So the fibers from the fasciculus gracilis ascend up to the lower part of the medulla oblongata, where these fibers synapse with the nucleus gracilis, which is situated in the lower part of the medulla oblongata. Now from here, the second order sensory neuron arises. The axons of second order sensory neuron cross to the opposite side, and these crossed fibers are called as internal arcuate fibers. So the fibers of second order sensory neurons cross to the opposite side as internal arcuate fibers. Then these fibers ascend as medial lemniscus. This is the medial lemniscus, and then this medial lemniscus, the fibers in the medial lemniscus enter into the thalamus. Now which nucleus? The ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus. So these fibers in the medial lemniscus, they synapse with the ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus, and from here the third order sensory neuron arises, which enter into the cerebral cortex. So this is the fasciculus gracilis, conveying conscious proprioception, fine touch, two-point tactile discrimination, pressure, vibration, and stereognosis below the level of sixth thoracic spinal cord segment. Then fasciculus cuneatus, which lies lateral to the fasciculus gracilis, and the peripheral processes arise from the skin, joint and tendon. The fibers enter into the dorsal root ganglia. Then they enter into the fasciculus cuneatus of the posterior funiculus of spinal cord. The fibers ascend up to the lower part of the medulla, where these fibers synapse with the nucleus cuneatus. From here, the axons cross to the opposite side as internal arcuate fibers, and then they ascend as medial lemniscus. So this medial lemniscus consists of both fibers, the fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. So in the fibers in the medial lemniscus enter into the ventral posterolateral nucleus of thalamus, and from thalamus the third order sensory neuron arises, which enters into the cerebral cortex. Now descending tracts. Now there are three types of descending tracts. The pyramidal tract, or also known as corticospinal tract. So this corticospinal tract extends from cerebral cortex to skeletal muscles for voluntary movements. Then extrapyramidal tracts extend from brainstem to postural brainstem for postural control of proximal muscles, and they control the autonomic nervous system. And intersegmental tracts are spinospinal tracts, means they originate and terminate in the spinal cord level. So the pyramidal tracts extend from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord level and then to the voluntary muscles. The extrapyramidal tract extends from the brainstem to the spinal cord level, and intersegmental tracts they extend between the segments. Now corticospinal tract. It is also called as pyramidal tract. Now this corticospinal tract extends from the cerebral cortex to spinal cord level. Now in addition to this, there are corticonuclear fibers and corticobulbar fibers. Now corticonuclear fibers, they end in the cranial nerve nuclei, while corticobulbar fibers end in the reticular formation. Now this corticospinal tract is concerned with the skillful voluntary movements because they supply the skeletal muscle. So it is concerned with the skillful voluntary movements. Now what is the origin of corticospinal tract? Now they arise from the motor cortex, that is the area number 4. Then premotor cortex, area number 6. And the few fibers also arise from sensory cortex, that is the area number 312. Then there are also the association areas. So the few fibers also arise from association areas of parietal, temporal and occipital lobes. Now these fibers, after its origin, these fibers, they pass through the corona radiata, then the posterior limb of internal capsule, then crus cerebri. This is the crus cerebri of the midbrain, the crus cerebri of the midbrain. Then they enter into the pons, then the medulla, pyramid of the medulla. The medulla, on the anterior aspect of the medulla, has an elevation called as pyramid. So they enter into the pyramid of the medulla. In the lower part of the medulla, 90% of the fibers, in the lower part of the medulla, 90% of corticospinal fibers, they cross to the opposite side. So here in the lower part of the medulla, you can see the 90% of fibers cross to the opposite side and enter in the lateral funiculars of the spinal cord. These are called as the lateral corticospinal tract. Okay, so in the lower part of the medulla, 90% of fibers cross to the opposite side. They enter into the lateral funiculars of the spinal cord and they descend as lateral corticospinal tract. Now remaining 10% fibers do not cross. Out of them, 8% fibers, they pass in the anterior funiculars and these are called as anterior corticospinal tract. So 8% fibers, they descend as anterior corticospinal tract. And on reaching the appropriate level of spinal cord, these fibers cross to the opposite side and terminate in the grey matter of the spinal cord. And remaining 2% fibers, they descend in the lateral funiculars on the same side and they join with the lateral corticospinal tract. Now these fibers, whether lateral corticospinal tract or anterior corticospinal tract, they terminate in the interneurons and alpha motor neurons in laminae 4 to 7 and lamina 9 of spinal gray matter. Now what is the function of these tracts? The lateral corticospinal tract is concerned with fine motor functions of distal muscles of the limb, whereas anterior corticospinal tract is concerned with gross motor functions of proximal muscles of the limb. Then extrapyramidal tracts, these are the rubrospinal tract. Now here there are the descending tracts. This is the rubrospinal tract. Then the tectospinal tract. This is the tectospinal tract. Reticulospinal tract. These are the reticular. There is medial and lateral reticulospinal tract. Vestibulospinal. This is the vestibulospinal. Again, vestibulospinal tract is divided into anterior and posterior. So, anterior and posterior vestibulospinal. And lastly, olivospinal. This is the olivospinal tract. Now, rubrospinal tract, it arises from this red line indicates the rubrospinal tract. Now, the fibers arise from the red nucleus. This is the red nucleus which is situated in the midbrain. Then the fibers immediately cross to the opposite side in the midbrain and then they pass through the pons, then the medulla and then they enter into the lateral funiculars of the spinal cord. Now these fibers, they terminate in the alpha and gamma motor neurons, which are situated in the anterior horn of the gray matter. So they synapse with the alpha and gamma motor neurons in laminae 4 to 7 of spinal gray matter, and the function of this tract is it is concerned with the stimulation of flexor muscles of the limbs. So this tract stimulates the flexor muscles of the limb. The next tract is the tectospinal tract. The tectospinal tract, here the blue line indicates the tectospinal tract. It arises from the superior colliculus. This is the superior colliculus, which is situated in the midbrain, and the fibers cross to the opposite side at the midbrain level. So these fibers cross to the opposite side and they descend through the pons, then the medulla, and then they enter into the anterior funiculus of the spinal cord. Now these fibers, they terminate in the upper cervical segments. So these fibers, they reach only upper cervical segments and they enter into the anterior, they terminate in the laminae 6 to 8 of spinal gray matter. And the function of these tracts is it is responsible for the reflex postural movements of neck in response to visual stimuli. So tectospinal tract, it is concerned with the visual stimuli, and on visual stimuli, on response to visual stimuli, there is reflex postural movements of the neck. Then the medial reticulospinal tract. Here the fibers arise from reticular formation. Now the red color indicates the medial reticulospinal tract, and these fibers arise from the reticular formation of pons. Then they descend on the same side. These fibers do not cross. They descend on the same side in the anterior funiculus of the spinal cord. Now these fibers, they terminate in the alpha and gamma motor neurons of the spinal cord. And the function of these tract is to facilitate the extensor muscles of the trunk and limbs. So these fibers in the medial reticulospinal tract stimulates the extensor muscles of the trunk and limbs. Thus, it is concerned with the postural adjustment of the head, trunk and limbs. It is also responsible for the bladder and bowel control. Then lateral reticulospinal tract. The blue line indicates the lateral reticulospinal tract. The fibers arise from the reticular formation of the medulla. So the fibers arise from the medulla, from the reticular formation, and most of the fibers, they cross to the opposite side and descend in the lateral funiculus of the spinal cord. So they descend in the lateral funiculus of the spinal cord. From here, the fibers enter into the gray matter and they synapse with the alpha and gamma motor neurons of the spinal cord. The function of this tract is to facilitate the flexor muscles of trunk and limbs. So the function is to facilitate the flexor muscles of the trunk and limbs. It also controls the automatic breathing. Then the next tract is the lateral vestibulospinal tract. Now Here the red line, this red line indicates the lateral vestibulospinal tract. The fibers arise from lateral vestibular nucleus at the pontomedullary junction. So this is the lateral vestibular nucleus which is situated at the pontomedullary junction. The fibers arise from this nucleus, descend on the same side in the anterior funiculus of the spinal cord. And then now these fibers, they terminate in the alpha and gamma motor neurons of the spinal gray matter, and the function is to facilitate the extensor muscles of the limbs. So this tract facilitates the extensor muscles of the limbs. The next tract is the medial vestibulospinal tract. Here the blue line indicates the medial vestibulospinal tract and it arises from the medial vestibular nucleus. This is the medial vestibular nucleus which is located at the pontomedullary junction. So the fibers arise from the medial vestibular nucleus, descend on the same side, then they enter into the anterior funiculus of the spinal cord through the medial longitudinal fasciculus, and then these fibers, they terminate in the alpha and gamma motor neurons of the spinal gray matter. The function of this tract is not known. The next tract is the olivospinal tract. This is the olivospinal tract. It arises from the inferior olivary nucleus of the medulla. This is the inferior olivary nucleus which is situated in the medulla. So the fibers of olivospinal tract arises from the inferior olivary nucleus of medulla, descend on the same side in the anterior funiculus of the spinal cord. And the function of this tract is to provide a feedback to spino-olivocerebellar pathway. So it provides a feedback to spino-olivocerebellar pathway. Then the third type of tract is the intersegmental tracts. We have seen there are ascending tracts, there are descending tracts, and the third type is the intersegmented tracts. Now these intersegmented tracts, they originate and terminate in the spinal cord level itself. These are the short ascending or descending tracts. They exist in the anterior, lateral and posterior funiculi. So in all funiculi they are present. And the example of these tracts are the posterolateral tract of Lissauer, fasciculus septomarginalis and fasciculus interfascicularis. Now here, just posterior to the posterior horn of grey matter, this tract is the posterolateral tract of Lissauer. Then in the posterior funiculus, this very small tract is the fasciculus septomarginalis, and lateral to it, this is the fasciculus interfascicularis. And these tracts, they are responsible for the spinal reflex. Now what is the blood supply of spinal cord? Now spinal cord is supplied by the anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal arteries and radicular arteries. Now there is one anterior spinal artery. So here this is the anterior spinal artery and it is situated in the anterior median fissure. The anterior spinal artery is formed by joining the spinal branches of two vertebral arteries. So anterior spinal artery, it is formed by joining the two spinal branches of two vertebral arteries, and it is situated in the anterior median fissure. Then there are two posterior spinal arteries. These are two posterior spinal arteries and they are situated in the posterolateral sulcus. And these posterior spinal arteries are the branches of vertebral artery or posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Then there are radicular arteries. These radicular arteries, they run along with the roots of the spinal nerve. So the spinal nerve has ventral root and dorsal root. So the radicular arteries, they run along the roots of the spinal nerve. So there are two radicular arteries, the anterior radicular artery and the posterior radicular artery. So the radicular arteries, they are the branches of vertebral artery, deep cervical artery, ascending cervical, intercostal, lumbar, sacral arteries. So depending on the spinal cord segments, they arise from the different arteries. Now all these arteries, the anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal arteries and the radicular arteries, they form a plexus in the pia mater. Plexus of arteries in the pia mater, and this plexus is called as arterial vasocorona. This is the arterial vasocorona. It has no connection with the coronavirus. So this plexus, which is present in the pia mater, is called as arterial vasocorona. Then venous drainage. Now surrounding the spinal cord, there are 6 longitudinal channels, venous channels, the 2 median, 2 anterolateral and 2 posterolateral. So 2 median channels are the one is situated in the anterior median fissure and the other is situated in the posterior median sulcus. Then there are 2 anterolateral venous channels which are situated in the anterolateral sulci and 2 posterolateral venous channels, they are located in the posterolateral sulci. So there are total 6 venous channels, and these venous channels, they form a plexus which is called as venous vasocorona. Now applied anatomy. Hemisection of the spinal cord will result in the Brown-Sequard syndrome. In this, the ascending as well as the descending tracts on one side will be affected. So ascending and descending both tracts on half of the spinal cord will be affected in Brown-Sequard syndrome. Then thrombosis of the anterior spinal artery will cause damage to the anterior 2/3 part of the spinal cord. And in this case, there will be involvement of corticospinal tracts which causes upper motor neuron type of paralysis below the level of lesion. Then there will be involvement of spinothalamic tracts which causes loss of pain and temperature sensation below the level of lesion. Then lesion to the anterior gray column. This usually occurs in the poliomyelitis, and this results in the lower motor neuron type of paralysis, and that is this leads to the flaccid paralysis with absent superficial and deep reflexes. Then lesion to the pyramidal tracts in the lateral funiculus will cause upper motor neuron type of paralysis. Then lesion of the anterior gray column and lateral funiculus, the pyramidal tracts in the lateral funiculus. This will lead to upper motor neuron type as well as lower motor neuron type of paralysis, as there is damage to the pyramidal tract and the anterior horn cells. And this condition is seen in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or motor neuron disease. Then, if the area around the central canal is involved, which is seen in the syringomyelia, and this affects the spinothalamic fibers in the anterior white commissure. The spinothalamic tracts, they cross to the opposite side. So these fibers are affected. So there is bilateral loss of pain and temperature sensation. Then if the posterior column is involved, this posterior funiculus is involved, then the fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus are affected, and this is mostly seen in hereditary sensory neuropathy or tertiary syphilis, and it is manifested by the bilateral loss of fine touch, 2-point discrimination, joint position and vibration sense. Then involvement of both lateral and posterior columns. Involvement of both lateral and posterior columns will cause the bilateral loss of fine touch, 2-point discrimination, joint position and vibration sense, and bilateral spastic paralysis and Babinski sign positive. Because here the pyramidal tracts are involved and posterior funiculus is involved. And this is mostly seen in subacute combined degeneration due to vitamin B12 deficiency. So this is all about the various tracts, ascending and descending tracts present in the white funiculi and the effects of lesion of these tracts. Thank you.